Hey guys. My name's Kat. I'm the Children's Ministry Director here, in case you didn't know that. So teaching kids is kind of my jam. I really like teaching kids. And when you teach kids, you have to have some tricks up your sleeve to help them understand big concepts, to have ways to make a concept, something concrete that you can see in front of you. And so I have quite a few object lessons that I like to use to preach the gospel. Pastor Andrew is spending the whole next year talking about the gospel. So I thought it was kind of important for us to remember why on earth we call the death of Jesus good news. So I have this little object lesson to show you guys. So here's you. This is at least how, this represents how God made you. See how it looks clear and pure, right? Like this is beautiful. There's nothing tainted in it. There's nothing floating around in this water. This is just pristine, beautiful, right? Because that's how God made us. He made us good, but he also gave us free will, which allows us to choose good or choose bad. When we choose bad or refuse to choose the good, we call that sin. Sin can look like lots of different things. Sin can look like things that everyone agrees are bad, and sin can also look like some things some people say are okay. The point of sin is that it's missing God's standard. Now, like I said, some sin looks like stuff that we should all think is bad, right? Like skull and crossbones, poison, But sometimes sin just looks like something good. That is until you get really deep in it. When you do, well, you get changed. You get tainted. You're not the good that you were before. And unfortunately, this is the problem of all of us. All of us have been tainted by sin. You see, there was something lurking in this sin that looked lovely. It should have had a skull and crossbones on it, and I'll tell you about what was actually in this later when we talk about the science. But for now, we're just going to remember that sin plus you equals change, equals irrevocable change, not being the way you're created to be. So being like this, changed, separates us from God. He's perfect, and our sin keeps us away from him. And it's not something we can fix on our own. We can't just be better. Oh, maybe I'll just do a little less sin. I'll just do a little less. It's fine. But I'm still completely, thoroughly, throughout, changed and tainted by this. So it seems like we are in a dilemma. We're changed. We're not the way we were meant to be. We are tainted with sin, and we can't fix it on our own. And God is just, and so we get the punishment we deserve, which is to be away from him forever. But he's also love. And so being just and requiring a punishment for our sin and being loving and merciful, he sent his son to live a sinless life and die a sacrificial death for us. And Jesus' death on the cross and resurrection thereafter changed everything. Thoroughly changed. We get to trade our sin for Jesus' righteousness. That is the good news. The good news is you can never be good enough. But you don't have to be good enough because Jesus was good in your place. And he took the punishment for all the bad stuff you've ever done so that you could be with him now and forever. And there's going to be times that you sin again, even after, if you've started following Jesus, even afterwards you're going to sin again. I still get angry at people in traffic and say things I shouldn't say and have a bad attitude and do all kinds of nasty. But the cross is still enough, no matter what. That's the good news. You plus the cross equals forgiven, untainted, brought back into relationship with God. So, what's the science behind this? Like I was saying, this sin looked lovely, but should have had a skull and crossbones, like all sin should. It was mostly water. And also ammonia, which is poisonous, and it's also a base. And this water that was in here is mostly water. Plus this base indicator, it is called phenolphthalein. I probably am saying that wrong. And when I added the sin, the water with the ammonia that had base, into the base indicator water, it changed color, which is why it was pink. But I did a little sneaky trick in that in the bottom of my straw dispenser, I had white vinegar, which is an acid. And so the acid in the base neutralized, therefore the phenolphthalein, which I'm again probably saying wrong, no longer reacted, and that's why the color went away. Science to demonstrate the gospel. The gospel's simple. Not always easy to follow, but it's simple. So stick around for all of the sermons this year so you can learn more about the gospel.